Hi, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Pizzan Academy. I'm Deanna, and today I want to talk to you about Common Core. Yeah, that mandated program that some states are doing and some states are not, but test scores are out, and particularly in reading for levels of 4th grade and 8th grade, the scores are down. So this idea of how to teach these critical skills like reading is not working out. As an educator, I'm not that surprised. I got my doctorate in education and I did quite a bit of research on federal programs for education from 1965 when Johnson instituted the first federal policy on education that impacted the way things would be taught, all the way up through Common Core, through No Child Left Behind, all of these policies. And there's a similarity in all of them, is that they're trying to tell the teachers how to teach. This is legislated. And of course they have advisory committees, but a lot of these people on the committees are educators that are now administrators or teachers that think that government mandating is going to be the way to ensure that students are learning. And I don't think that's the case. I've been in the classroom, I've taught, and as student learning outcomes in colleges started becoming more and more prevalent, and we had more and more check boxes to make sure that we were teaching, it makes it more difficult for the teacher. I've been into classrooms where there's a schedule on the wall that the teacher has made on butcher paper that goes down to every minute of the day. Okay, from 8:23 to 8:47, we're doing a science reading and we're going to have a quiet reading time. And then after that, we're going to share as a group, or we're going to go into small groups and do pair sharing. I am a type A personality. I love routine. I love schedule. But what that does when it's mandated from the administration, which is basically it's all top down, that teacher, if they want to spend an extra 5 minutes on something to explore, they don't have that flexibility. You have these mandated tests and everybody is looking at measurable outcomes. That's the new buzzword. How can we measure success? Well, we have to test it. We have to have some statistic or some number like these test scores that I'm basing this whole video on. But how do you measure the joy of reading? How do you measure ability? Now you can say, okay, they're reading at a 4th grade level or a 7th grade level based on the books and reading comprehension and vocabulary. But how does that joy of reading, or how do you measure how engaged the parents are or how much they're reading at home? Yeah, you'll fill out a sheet, but that's sort of on the honor code. And we have this idea that we don't want to look like we're doing something wrong. It's almost like this shaming that's happening. And you can't measure that. You can't measure that a kid's just going to grab a book off their shelf and then have the parent say, oh, no, that's not the kind of book you're supposed to be reading. You're supposed to be 20 minutes of science reading. You're killing that joy from that student. It's not surprising to me to see that these scores are down because Common Core really impacted the way that teachers K through 12 could teach. And it's showing in particularly 4th and 8th grade reading scores that have just been released. I'll put a link to where you can see these scores in the description below if you're interested. But I think the problem is teaching reading. One thing that Common Core did is that it changed the way that texts would be selected. And so there's a lot more sort of informational texts that are being used instead of more creative text. And so students are learning to read on maybe more difficult things or things that aren't maybe as interesting as a narrative story. And that's going to impact their reading. Because if students aren't enjoying what they're going to read, they're not going to read as much. And yes, you have to read at school, right? And we need to educate them on a lot of different topics. And you're not going to love everything that you're learning in school. But you can find things. You can, as a teacher, if you're passionate about a subject that is really not something that you're told to teach any longer, that passion kind of goes out the window. I remember being in 2nd grade and my teacher, Mrs. Hall, being so passionate about what she was teaching us, and it really transferred to us, and we were excited to read. We were excited to learn because she would share her own ideas and her own passions, and I see that more and more being kind of just pushed out of the classroom in replacing teaching to the test, which will be another video, and taking away this passion, this freedom for the teacher to teach in their own manner, in their own way. And it's really unfortunate, and we're seeing the results now. So we have all these policies. They're not going to go away anytime soon. So what do we do? What do we do as parents? What do we do as educators? As parents, we can open that world of reading and not be so regimented like what they're getting in school. Take them to the library. Make sure there are books around. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You can go to used bookstores. You can go to libraries. And so maybe, providing opportunities for reading outside of what they have to read for school to find that joy for the student, I think is amazing. If you're enjoying our videos, you can like our video, share our video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to get alerted every time we have a new one. And in the description below, we have links to our other social media. I'm off to enjoy reading, and I hope you do as well. Have a great day.